Good afternoon, everyone. This is Robert Radford. 50 years of chess, and I've got a game for you which I think you might find interesting. It was played in 2015 in a league match, South Bristol against Thornbury. And like I said, it was played on 4th of September 2015. J.Nichols, long-standing player at Thornbury, older man than myself, quite a bit. He's still playing, I understand, for Thornbury occasionally when they're short of a player or something like that. But he wasn't a bad player. It's a much better player than his rating would suggest. You get that with certain players. Because of their inconsistency, it's hard to really judge just how good they are. Because on their day, they can hold their own with really good, strong players. Other days, they just lose quite a lot. But I'm going to show you this game now, and I was black, so James began with e4. I played c5, as I did a lot back then in them days. James' rating around this time was 1705, and I was 1893. So he's played knight f3, knight c6, d4, cd, knight takes d, and now I went for the Lorenzo variation with e5. I played this in another video with Dave Tipper, which was successful. But the difference here is James didn't go knight b5, which is a normal move. He played a lesser line, but still playable. Knight takes on c6. So I retook with the b pawn. c4, so he's locking the centre. Bishop c5, bishop e2, knight f6 hitting the e4 pawn. So he brought the knight out to c3 to defend it. d6, so I can get the bishop out. Castle. I come bishop into e4 first, threatening to take the knight on c3 and then pick up the pawn on e4. Bishop f3 to prevent that from happening. Rook b1. So this stops b3 because the bishop takes knight. So he withdrew the knight to e2. Now I could have gone bishop takes pawn, but after rook to b1, the bishop is pinned, and I could protect it with the queen on b6, but then it's getting a bit awkward. So I just played the bishop back. b3, castle. Bishop d2, a5. That's to totally shut down this queen side from pushing on these pawns with b4 to kick my bishop out of c5. Now he's gone with rook b1 to threaten that again. So I've gone in bishop to e6. So he's gone knight c3, h6, rook e1 and g5. Now some people say it's a bit risky playing g5, pushing these pawns in front of your king, but I'm quite happy to do it because the plan is to grab space on the king side and just shut him down generally, because I played Jim before many times and I've been successful, and I found playing him is if he's denied space, it's harder for him to be creative with his pieces. At h3, queen d7, knight a4, bishop d4. So I'm not prepared to let him take the bishop with the knight, and I'll come back into e4. Bishop e3, and I've locked it with c5. I'm quite happy if he takes the bishop, I'll have a passed pawn in the centre on the d-file. So he's gone rook c1, and I've played rook f2, c8. Knight back to c3, knight to h7. Looks a bit mysterious, but basically it's just to be able to push this f pawn at some time. So he's gone in knight to d5. I don't really want to go bishop takes knight because at the moment I'm looking at attacking that king side on h3 with my queen and bishop. Once I can get g4 in, but he's got it covered with the queen and bishop at the moment, so that's not possible yet. King g7, so I'm just playing a waiting move here, and also stopping his knight, of course, from going into f6. So he wants to swap with the bishops on g4 and d6. So I'll come back with a knight to retake, which would be fabulous for me, because then after bishop takes bishop, rook takes bishop on e3, I can drop the knight into d4 or to f4. Queen f3. Now that's dangerous because he can get in on f6 with the queen. So I've gone back with a knight, stop that. Knight back to c3. Now rook across where I can threaten to push the pawn on now. Rook to f4. So he's gone bishop takes on d4. C takes, and I've got my passed pawn. Knight a4. Not sure if he shouldn't really have played knight d5, which I think was best. So I've gone knight f6 to try and get that bishop off him, but he swapped it for my bishop. And now I've gone taken with the f pawn instead of queen takes, because there's a good chance he could get a draw with the way the pawns are if they stayed as they were, as pieces are coming off. So I've gone f takes to make sure that I can get a push in the middle with d5. And I'm threatening his queen indirectly. A discovered attack on his queen. Queen back to e2. Queen f7. So I'm looking at that f2 pawn at the moment. I'm looking to come after that. Queen d2. He could take my a pawn, but he would now lose his e pawn on e4 because I've got queen and knight bearing down on e4. So he decided that was more important, which it was. Now I played g4. I was threatening to go pawn takes pawn and he won't be able to retake. So he took the pawn, I took with my knight, and now I've got a fierce attack on his f2 pawn, and he's pushed it to f3. Now, generally, I would go knight into e3 so that I've got a rock solid attack on that g2 pawn, but I wasn't sure because what he might do himself. Anyway, I fancied the knight back to f6 because I want to break up these pawns in the middle. I want to be able to push on d5, and with the knight supporting the d5 pawn, then that's better, I think, at this time. So he's played c5, something I didn't expect. So instead of taking, I moved, which I'm not going to do, I played d5 as I'm trying to bust up the middle here. He took the pawn, and now he's got an attack on the e5 pawn. And I could defend it with a queen, but I don't really want to do that. So what I decided is if I pushed on my pawn d3, he wouldn't really be able to take that pawn on e5 because I can play d2. And then he's lost a piece, very important piece. So I've gone d3. That really means he's got to come either to e3 with the queen or go d2 to stop the advance of the pawn, which is what he did do. So I took in the middle with knight takes on d5, which was my plan, rather than go knight to e3 earlier. He took the pawn in the middle. He is actually a pawn up, but he's down on the bar. If you look on the bar on the right side with the red line, he's slightly worse, 0.4 worse. It's not as active as what my pieces are with my rook, because I can immediately get my pawn back with rook takes f3 anyway. So we both got 4 pawns each. Now I'm covering that pawn again now on d3. So he's gone rook takes knight. He considered my knight to be extremely dangerous after it comes into f4. He didn't like the look of that, so he's given up the exchange to stop that. So rook takes knight, pawn takes knight on d5. And now I've got a clear advantage. He shouldn't really have done that. But this is what he did, and I think he would have been in trouble. So he's pushed on his c pawn, which he has to do really, because he's losing this game. He's 4.2 down if you look at the bar on the right. So I played rook to e8. I'm not worried about that pawn pushing on. He's pushed it on again. But even if he gets a queen, I get another move. So first of all, I decided to go back just to make sure he's not going to push it on, so I can have a little think. He's played queen c3 check. I've gone king h7. So there's no more checks there. He's gone rook to d1 to try and win that pawn. And now this is a chance for me to play the move I want to play, which was rook down to e2, threatening checkmate on g2. So what he's done is played queen takes pawn so that I can't check him with my queen, because he's pinned my queen to my king. So I took the pawn with the rook. He's gone king h1, and this gave me an opportunity to play rook f5, because now I'm threatening mate on h5. He's got no choice but to take the rook with the queen to prevent the mate, and then get the two rooks with the queen. So that's what he did, and I've got a 3.6 advantage. So I'm well in, 3-0 advantage now. I'm well in with good chance. I just got to do something about that dangerous pawn on c7. If I can get that, then all's well. So I checked him first, queen g4 check. Then he went on to c2, because you can't avoid the check. So there you go, queen f4 check, and I'll get that pawn. King e2, queen takes a dangerous pawn, and now I'm 3-0 up, and against a rook and knight with a pass pawn as well on the h6 square. I should be able to go on and win this. So I checked him again on h2. He's gone king e3, and I took the pawn on a2. So I'm starting to wipe out his pieces a bit now. He's played check, king g3, check, king g4. It's not really doing much, but he's got to try and hold on. His king's wide open as well. Checked again, king g4, and that's helping me, because I can push that pawn on and he can't stop it instead of giving up the rook. King d3, h5, c4. So I presume he's after that a pawn, so that he can try and get his own pawn going, but he hasn't got time for that. h4, rook d4, king g3, rook d3, king g2, guiding that pawn home. Now knight into c3. So I played queen to a2, king into d3. Now I check him on f2. Now he went to c3. I think he would have been better to have gone to maybe e4, but he's gone back to c4, and so I checked him here. And at this stage, Jim was running out of time, and his clock went, and he's losing heavily because I've got a 6-0 advantage. And if you look on the bar on the right, it's nearly all black now. It's an outright win for me here, but he put up a fight. He really did, and he didn't play too bad at all, really. It's only at certain stages in the game where he he wasn't able to find the space, like I said, that he would have liked. Because if you give him a chance, he can hurt you. And but I didn't give him a chance to do that. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the game. Hope everybody is well. And thank you to all the subscribers who've been watching the games avidly. And I thank you very much. I hope they've brought you some fun and interest. And I'll bring you some more as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.